Hello everyone, my name is Michelle. Welcome to my channel. So today we're going to solve a question in the database category. The number is 626. The name is exchange 6. So it belongs to a medium level question, and actually this is the last one in the unlocked category. So let us first read the description of this problem. So Mary is a teacher in a middle school, and she has a table called seat, storing students' names and their corresponding seat IDs. The column ID is continuous increment. Mary wants to change seats for the adjacent students. Can you write a SQL query to output the result for Mary? So for this table is actually the seat table, and it is storing students' name and their corresponding seat IDs. So the first column is their seat IDs, and it is a continuous increment, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 until 5. And the second column is student, which is student's name, which is about Doris, Amazon, Green, and James. So it led us to change the adjacent students, but it actually did not give too much details about the way we're going to change the seat. So we need to find some ways out from the output. We compare the output with the input. We could see that for each pair of the students, they actually exchange their seats with each other. So like for the first pair, which is the ID 1 is student about, and the ID 2 is student Doris. So for the output, actually Doris would be the ID 1 and about would be the number 2. So in this case, they change their ID, which means they exchange their seats. So similar things for the Amazon and Green. So for the ID 3, the student's name is Amazon, and for the ID 4, the student name is Green. So for the output, actually they exchange their seats. So Green will sit on ID 3, and Amazon will sit on ID 4. So this is the way how they sit on their IDs. So I actually could say that we can see some rules to exchange the seats. So the first one is if the ID is odd, which means if the ID is an odd number, and at the same time it is not the last one of this table, because you could see that we are going to exchange the odd number with the following even number. But if this is the last one and it doesn't have any further, any more students here, so we cannot change this one to any other people. So for the James, it will stay in his seats, right? So for here, if the ID is odd number and the ID is is equals to the count of the students, then we will say the ID would equals to ID itself, right? For the second one is if the ID is odd number and the ID is not equals to the count of the number of students, which means it is not the last one. So in that case, the ID would be ID plus 1, right? So for here, ID is equals to ID plus 1. And the last one is if ID is an even number. So which means it is actually ID 2, ID 4. In this case, they were going to the ID equals to ID minus 1. So for here, we're going to put this ID equals to ID minus 1. So there are 3 different rules when we are going to exchange the seats for the students. So before we go directly start writing this SQL query, let us review the case 1 function. So this is the function we actually talked about in the previous videos. It is a very useful function when we have several different conditions. So this is the syntax for this function. We've always put the case at the first and at the very end. So within this case and end, we will have some conditions and some actions if the condition satisfies your input. And if all the input is not satisfied with any of the conditions, it will directly return the result from the else statement. And if there is no else part, actually will return null, which means that is empty. And let's go back and write this SQL query. Sorry. So as what we did earlier, so we always put the select at the very beginning, and then we will put it from here. Since we only have one particular table and we are not going to combine any other tables with this one, so what we are going to do is we just simply put the set here, and we're going to use the order by here. Because you can see that when we change the IDs for the students, the ID will not be the continuous increment, but for the output, it's actually from the smallest number to the largest number. So we need to order by the ID itself. But since when we run the SQL syntax, it's actually order by is within the last priority, which means we'll run from first, and then select, and then order by. So we'll write this part at the very end. So far we're going to write is the select. For here we're going to use the case when function. So normally we'll put the case and end here. And after that we're going to write down the when conditions. So the first one is when the ID is an odd number. So as we talked to the I think it should be the last SQL query, which is when we're trying to find it is an odd number or even number, we're going to use the modular function. So when the ID is modular with 2, and when the result is 1, which means it is an odd number, and at the same time, if it is equals to the number of the students, which means the counts, and then we will just keep the ID there. So some people were maybe curious about, we haven't write down anything about the count itself, but for here, since we could write anything for here to indicate what it counts, but for here I'm going to put the counts in the front part. This is a small way for us to optimize the SQL query, because if we put the counts anything to indicate the count here, we have to repeat it every time when we use the case when. But if we put it under the from, then we only need to do it once. So we're going to put is we have a bracket here and as counts. So with this bracket, we're going to write is select count star as counts and from the set. So from this small SQL query, we actually could count how many students, or we say how many seats within this table, and after that we could use the counts within the select, right? And this is the first rule, and the second rule is when modular ID to 2 is equals to 1, which means it is an odd number, and if the ID is not equal to the counts, then we are going to do is ID plus 1. And the last rule, actually, we're going to find if ID is even number. But this is the last condition, so we could just put else here. And the ID is equals to ID minus 1. And all this output, we're going to be the ID. And we are also going to select the student count, student column. So we finished the select part. And the last one is we're going to do the order by. Everyone knows that the order by is actually, by default, it is follow the ascending way. So for here, since it is just match what we're going to do, so we're not going to put any other ways to change the parameters. We just need to do is order by the ID itself. And do not forget to put the semicolon at the very end. And I'm going to run this query. So you can see that the runtime is around like 280 milliseconds. It beats 65% of the online submissions. And sometimes when you repeat to submit again, then it may have a better runtime. So I think I will keep this here, and I could show you that the best way I could do is 270 milliseconds, which is around like 85 to 90% faster than the online submissions. I think that's all for today's questions and solutions. I hope my video was useful for you, and if you like my video, please hit the like button and also share it with your friends. Also, please do not forget to subscribe my channel, and I will just meet you in the next following videos. Have a good night and see you tomorrow.